All right, so we're talking about Halloween from 2018 and its sequel, Halloween Kills from 2021.
Mhm.
And we're doing it because we're first off just can't wait for Halloween ends, which October 14th that's when that coming out real soon. So,
It's coming out in theaters and streaming same day.
yeah, on Peacock. So, yeah, it's gonna be like we're gonna cover that one and like right away too, because I think we're excited. Jason actually never seen either of these, but
Correct.
anytime we can watch any of the Halloween movies is always a good time.
Yeah, and I feel like this is gonna be, like, one of the last movies that is released in theaters and on streaming the same day. I
You think?
just don't see that trend continuing. It's either gonna be streaming only or theaters, then to streaming
Yeah,
later.
I believe so. I don't know though. I mean, I actually was reading about this today and they said it was Jason Blum from Blumhouse. It was his idea to do the streaming and theaters the same day because it came out, last year during COVID still. So, I mean, not that COVID's gone, but at that time it was still like people wanted to stay in and a lot
Yeah.
more, I feel. And so I think I personally I love it. I think it's great. I mean, I would also think this movie would probably be fun in a theater though. Horror movies are just fun in theaters.
Yeah. Well, and it works out great for our format of, only
Yes.
covering movies that are available on a streaming platform. So, who knows? Maybe this is our first and only same day kind of review that we do that one for. But maybe there will be more. We'll see.
I'll be up watching it at midnight as soon as it's available, so don't worry, or whatever time it drops, I'll be right there. So,
I wanted to ask you because I know you understand it better than I do. So, is this a reboot or is this a sequel of the old one or of the Rob Zombie one? Like,
no, God, no, no,
we don't talk about those?
no.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I haven't seen those.
I've only seen the first one and I just thought, "No, thanks. I don't need to see any of that again." Or another one. I've never seen any other Rob Zombie movies though, so
Devil's Rejects is good.
it is? Okay. Well, maybe I'll check it out. I've just always kind of after that movie, I was just like, "You know what? No." So I think a lot of people don't actually like those. So the cool thing about Halloween is that it really started the whole trend. There's other movies that did it first, but it started the trend of being a requel as coined in the new Scream.
See, you can't just reboot a franchise from scratch anymore. The fans won't stand for it. Black Christmas, Child's Play, Flatliners, that shit doesn't work. But you can't just do a straight sequel either. You gotta build something new, but not too new, or the internet goes bug fucking nuts. It's gotta be part of an ongoing storyline, even if the story shouldn't have been ongoing in the first place. New main characters, yes, but supported by and related to legacy characters. Not quite a reboot, not quite a sequel.
Doesn't this kind of reboot it because it is a direct sequel, but only to the original one? So it cuts off all the others.
Halloween H2O came out before and it did the same thing where it I think ignored Halloween 4 and 5, which had Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, having a daughter who was, like, the main character of those 2 movies.
Wait a second. Are you telling me that Halloween has been requeled twice
Yes, at least.
with Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yes.
Weird flex, but okay.
They killed her, I think, in, like, Halloween 4, maybe 5, I don't know. This movie was like, "Fuck all that." It's so confusing. They've already done that where they've kind of been like, "Oh, we're
Mhm.
forgetting about whatever." Now Josh Hartnett's her son. So this movie was like, "We're just gonna make it easy for everybody," 'cause Marvel is really expecting a lot of people these days. You gotta see, like, 800 movies before you watch the new show in order to understand everything, right?
Yeah.
They're like, let's just make this easy for everybody. Everyone's seen the first movie. We're just gonna be a sequel to that. Everything else after that, none of that happened. That was just a bad dream. And I'm like, that's cool. That's a really bold move. And like a very similar thing like was done in the new Texas Chainsaw where they had Sally, the original victim, back, and she's now a like fucking Texas Ranger and she's like been waiting for Leatherface for 40 years. But it's, like, way different than Halloween because, like, spoiler alert, she dies, like, as soon as she encounters Leatherface because she's a fucking moron. But anyways, This movie did it right, and that's why I think it really caught on as, like, now people are you can't look, like, around and not see at least 3 requels coming out.
Hmm.
Star Wars, Halloween, Jurassic World, The Matrix, Creed, right? That's the Rocky
I don't
continuations.
know if I would consider Creed a requel because it doesn't really reboot anything. I would consider it more of like a spinoff.
Well, whatever. The Bad Boys, Mad Max, Top Gun, Ghostbusters, Chucky, Star Trek, the Vacation movie, shockingly, Candyman, Jumanji, Terminator, X-Men, Space Jam, Spiral, and Jigsaw, both from Saw, Rings, Blair Witch, The Grudge, Home Alone, and then coming soon for sure, The Exorcist, which is the same director as these Halloween movies. I had no idea. It's like a sequel to the original.
Jesus, that was a mouthful.
I know. I feel like that scene in Scream 4, which you probably haven't seen, but she like lists all these movies.
Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, The Hills Have Eyes, Amityville Horror, Last House on the Left, Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, My Bloody Valentine, When a Stranger Calls, Prom Night, Black Christmas, House of Wax, The Fog, Piranha.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Is a requel better than a reboot? Let me give you an example. And I'm thinking about this maybe from a quality standpoint, but then also from like a financial standpoint. Like, the studio looking to make money. I'm thinking of Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street is like a beloved franchise. It's been going on for a long time. They have so many movies because they just make money. And then it was like a decade ago, they did that reboot. They recasted him and just started clean slate. And that movie was okay. It was fine. It didn't do well. Do you think a requel of Nightmare on Elm Street would be a success?
Oh, 100%. I'm really glad you brought it up because I really didn't care. I didn't mind the reboot when I first saw it, but then I went through and watched all the other Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and they're all just like so great. And Freddy Krueger is just so iconic, right? Robert England,
Yeah.
you just can't beat him. But it's crazy. They actually kind of do a requel in the third one, and it's actually written by Frank Darabont, who did like The Mist and Shawshank Redemption. It's such a good movie where it has a Patricia Arquette as like a new chick, but then they bring Nancy back. And like she like is like kind of teaming up with this chick and they're all like it's like called Dream Warriors. And they're like at like this place that studies them and like all these scientists. And so it's like a real cool thing. It's kind of like Stranger Things, but with like Freddy Krueger.
Hmm.
It's good. I enjoyed it a lot, and then Freddie also, like, slams someone's head into a TV and says, like, "Welcome to prime time, bitch," and it's, like, so good. It just and that made me, like, really hate the fact that they did a remake and they didn't do anything interesting with it. They really leaned into the child predator stuff. If they were gonna do a reboot, they should have just done something cool with it or something interesting. It just felt like they did the exact same stuff that we'd already seen in the first movie, and I mean, across all the different sequels, we've seen a lot of different funky shit. They could have really changed it up and done something cool. I mean, I think Jackie Earl Haley was great as Rorschach, but I don't know if you could get an actor as good as Robert England. Maybe one day. They did it with Pennywise, so who knows?
Yeah, I think movies need to figure out how to transfer or like recast in a way that like doesn't disrupt the story or like make people be distracted by it. Like the prime example that I think of is of a movie that did it really, really well was The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Mhm.
And
Great
like
reference.
Heath Ledger, and then he passed and they had to finish the movie. And so they casted three different people to finish the movie. And the way that they like made it work is like they go into the Imaginarium and based off whose imagination they're going into, it changes the way that he looks. He looks the way that they want him to look.
Mhm.
I feel like you could do that with something like Freddy Krueger, where like if he changed his target, he's going into the mind of someone else. Like
Yeah.
that could change what someone is scared of just a little bit.
Or hear me out on this. What if we just clone Robert England or like get his genetics somehow, get the guys at Jurassic World to make us like a fucking a billion of the or, like, just keep making them. So we'll always have a Freddy Krueger.
We do the Mark Hamill treatment.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
we just scan his whole body, we take all the
Yeah,
audio from the last 50 years, and we just compile an AI that can just reproduce his voice and then CGI him. Or you could just do what this movie that we're about to talk about did. Just have people wear masks. And
there
then
you
you
go.
can just take care of it that way. But let's get into Halloween. Halloween came out in 2018. And so the story of this one is it is a requel of the original Halloween from 1978. And so it's Laurie confronts her longtime foe, Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. Now, that is the IMDb plot. Here is my overall thought for this movie. This is a very empowering movie because Michael Myers proves that age is just a number. Dude's like 60 in this movie, right?
Yeah. No, he's doing great. This guy he's the most in shape. That's how you know he's gotta have supernatural abilities.
He's using his prison time very efficiently.
It's like this guy and then the guy from those, like, Don't Breathe movies. I'm like, these
Yeah.
are, like, 2 old guys kicking ass. But yeah, let's talk about Halloween. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
so it came out in 2018. It had a budget of about $10 million and grossed over $250 million. So it did pretty good. It has a decent Rotten Tomato score. It's like 79%. I mean, the original has a 96%.
But still, like, for a movie coming out nowadays, if it's got, like, a green score from Metacritic, you're like, "Alright." Or, like, it's if it's positive on Rotten Tomatoes, you're like, "That's a good horror movie." Again, I think people are harder on those movies than they need to be.
Yeah.
I think this one was, like, pretty satisfying to a lot of people, and, like, that's why there's so many requel-esque movies, even if they're not exactly requels.
Yeah. This movie it's a mixed bag. It has some stuff that I really liked, and then there's some other stuff that I just really hated. I mean, one thing that is kind of good and bad for me, it has really, really good tones throughout the whole movie. It's just the tones change. Every tone is really good when it's happening, but I don't think they necessarily mix very well. Like there's really funny stuff that happens in this movie. Like it was written like a comedy movie. And then there's really like dark things that happen and they don't really mix that well.
I agree.
But like I mean we can start off on a positive note. I mean, first off, this movie looks great.
Doesn't it?
Visually, like it looks great. The cinematography is really good. Michael looks great. Like the burned mask. Like I'm glad they didn't do like a totally different mask. Like they just aged it.
Yeah, they did it perfectly, and what's cool is that, like, the flashbacks in this one and in the sequel, they look like they're older movies.
Yeah.
You can really tell that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride and everybody involved in the production is, like, super Halloween fans. They love Michael Myers. I
Yeah.
mean, I get it, he's awesome.
Yeah, he looks great. And one thing that I really liked about him in both of these movies is that like he is savage. Like it's not just him sneaking up on someone and like stabbing them. It's like he is obliterating people.
Yeah,
And like you see it like the bathroom kill early on when he kills the podcasters, which thank God he did. I hated them. Oh,
I know. He had
it's
to.
just like, what's your purpose in this movie? I'm here to deliver the mask and to give a little bit of exposition to anyone who has not seen the original
Yeah,
Halloween.
well, that's what they do. That's part of the requel thing is,
Yeah.
like, we gotta explain and catch you up on what's been happening. That's why there's the line of, like, "Oh, yeah, I heard that he was, like, related to Laurie," and it's like, "No, that was just a stupid rumor," and it's like, "Yeah, that was just like, we'll just forget that idea."
Because they do that in the second one, right? Where they're
Yes, Halloween
related.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where Dr. Loomis discovers that, and it's funny actually because I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you know, but the original director, John Carpenter, which I don't know if you've seen a lot of his movies, but they are just excellent and really wonderful, and that he's the king of horror for a reason, but he is an executive producer on this one, and him and his son wrote the score, which is really cool because he also did the score for the original, and he generally doesn't wanna be involved in any sequels or, like, remakes or
Yeah.
whatever, but he really loved the ideas and, like, things that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, he thought their pitch was great, and he ended up collaborating with them and, like, pitching stuff for the stories,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Oh, yeah, this is just gonna be 1 movie, though. This'll probably be the last one," and then they were like, "No, we're gonna do another one." And he's like, "Sure, whatever." Like, he's like, As long as I'm getting paid," is what he said. I'm good with it."
It does kinda seem like this movie was supposed to be one movie because, like,
Mhm.
with the way they end it with them trapping him, and then Halloween Kills just like, "Nope, actually, we're
Yeah.
gonna do 2 more." Like, this movie did pretty good.
They were like, "Oh, it made money." They're like, "Alright, we're doing 2 more," and that's what Danny McBride has said a couple times that they had actually written it originally or envisioned it as, like, 2 movies back to back, like, shoot them at the same time kinda thing. And then they were like, "Well, let's just be safe and just make 1 movie and self-contain it just in case.
Mhm.
If people hate it, then we won't do another one." But then it was like, "Oh, it was, like, successful? Okay, we're gonna just jump right in then." So, I'm cool with it, though. I think it was cool, and I love that, Jake Gyllenhaal actually convinced Jamie Lee Curtis to reprise her role for the film
Wow.
because he's her godson. I don't know if you know
I did
that.
not know that.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? But
Wow.
cool.
That is
He's like,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
they're family friends.
Kudos to
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal because Jamie Lee Curtis is like she's one of the things that I loved in this movie. I
Mhm.
liked the idea of she survived this thing 40 years ago and it's like it's stuck with her and she's now like this
Mhm.
doomsday prepper.
Which makes sense. That's what I like to see in a horror movie,
Yeah.
honestly. That's what I would be doing.
She like went full Sarah Connor from from Terminator 2.
Terminator, yeah.
And I liked that kind of shift in that character. I thought that was really interesting. Um, but like she wasn't in the movie enough. That was one of my problems is like you see her at the beginning and like, oh, this is where she is, and then you come back to her at the end. But then there's just oh, there's all the stupid stuff with the teenagers. God, I
Gotta introduce the new people. I mean, if you have you seen the original in a long time?
no, I intentionally did not watch the
You should.
original. Well, no, I intentionally didn't watch it before watching these because I just felt like I would compare them.
Mhm. But that's the point. There's a lot of really strong references to them.
Well, I know the story and
Yeah, but, like,
I know that
all the little
I know
details.
that she was like a teenager in the movie and it's not the teenagers that I hated, it's all of the it was like a teenager drama. It's just like
Well, that's what the original was. They did it a lot. You haven't seen it for a long time, but
I
there's a
haven't
lot of teenager stuff.
still feel like it's going to be better than this because the whole my boyfriend kissed another girl at the dance. I was just like, oh,
So tired.
I'm just like,
I've seen that a million
well, I
times.
just don't care. That's not why it's not why I'm watching a Halloween movie. And
Yeah.
then the friend zoned friend tries to
Yeah.
kiss the girl. And it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't care about this. I did love the scene with the motion lights. I thought that
Yeah.
was really good. And I was really
All the
glad.
kill scenes are always the best part of these movies for me,
Yeah.
I think, because that's why I think I like the second one better is more Michael Myers, but
Yeah.
he's just so much fun, I think. He's a cool killer, better than I remember. I thought he just used a butcher knife. I like his variety in these
Yeah, I
movies.
think in the original,
He does,
his
yeah.
kills are not so as creative, but especially I mean
No.
compared to Halloween Kills,
He's had 40 years to work on it. I bet he's just been standing there in that corner looking that one space and just thinking about it, right?
probably. I will say though, for how awful the teens are, we did get one incredible line from the friend zone kid before Michael Myers kills him.
Allison, I'm like really drunk right now. Seriously, I got really horny at the party and like all these girls were like dancing on me. Their beautiful bodies got me all chubbed out, Allison. They were feeding me guacamole in all these sexy ways.
Got me all chubbed out.
I do not remember that. That is so funny.
Oh, it was go on YouTube and watch that clip again. It's so good.
I'm about to because that's amazing. There is like some really funny shit. And that's what's great is that I think that, like, when it shines and, like, it does come out, it's like it's still really funny and I'm here for it. It's just that I wish that there was more of that tone the whole movie. Like, I don't care for the serious stuff.
Mhm.
I don't really care. I mean, it's a Halloween sequel. I'm still not expecting it to be like cinema,
Yeah,
like it's
yeah,
not. I don't need this. I don't understand why everyone wants a little trauma in with like everything. I get it. That's what I just like am like this movie's pretty fun, but I will say I think the best part is always Michael Myers, no
yeah.
matter what.
Well, I mean, it is, but I will say there's one other character in this movie that gives Michael Myers a run for his money. It's the little kid that's being babysit.
Oh, the little kid,
The
yeah.
little kid that was definitely written to be like a 15-year-old, but they casted an 11-year-old.
Why would a 15-year-old need a babysitter?
I guess that's very valid, but the things that he says, I'm just like, what? Like,
I know you talking about smoking weed. Don't lie to me. That's against the rules. I'm telling my mom.
Well, I'm gonna tell your mom about your browser history.
You better not.
it's like
That's like kids nowadays.
I don't know, but it's just
Yeah,
so funny.
they have their phones now. They're looking at shit that they should never have looked at really early, I bet.
It's like,
If I had some other kind of babysitter, she'd be reading me a story. I wouldn't be up clipping my nasty ass toenails.
He's hilarious. I love
or
him.
like when the boyfriend comes over and he's like, "Shut up, Dave."
So good.
Like those parts are so funny. It's so weird how they blend in with the horror parts. And if they translated all of these funny things to Halloween Kills, I think Halloween Kills is like just it takes it from a really fun movie to this is ridiculously fun. Because Halloween Kills has a lot of funny stuff, but it doesn't have like funny lines like this.
Oh, there's plenty though, but I will say what I think is great is that they have the right Michael Myers energy in this movie, that he is just a predator. He's like the shark in Jaws is what they wanted him to seem like. That you just he's just there's no reason behind it. What's the point in trying to figure out the mythos behind his madness? There's no point.
So wait, are you arguing that Bruce from Jaws is a great actor?
No,
Are you sure?
no,
Are you sure? Because
no,
I think your logic lines up. I
no.
think there's some line of insanity that you could go on.
Jace, that is a mechanical
Jaws,
shark. I am
hey,
not trying to
Bruce at
say.
least moves his mouth.
Stop. Stop. Okay. This guy does too. He even shows his face a little bit in each one.
Just get a little tease. Hey, I agree. I love his performance. I
Thank
just
you. Stop bothering me and just try to
you
like I'm
brought it
just
up.
trying to talk
You
every
brought it
time
up.
every time we talk about this poor actor, you just have to make fun of me and not and
No,
get away from the conversation. Let's talk about how great he is for a minute,
he is
right?
great. This all started on the Sinister episode when I said Michael Myers is not on my list of great performances of actors that have to talk with a mask.
That was not the rules. There was no rules that they had to talk.
All
It
right,
was
I
best mask
thought you would
performance.
understand what that meant.
You just said he was a performer. It was a
Yeah, he's a
performance by a
performer.
performer. So that counts.
But I will also maintain consistency that if you have to talk, that is a harder performance. It's easy to be efficient when you don't have to do half the job,
Okay. Well, I think it was a performance choice, is what we've established.
or a writer's choice.
Okay. Get out of here.
But no, he's great. Like I like how big he is. Like he seems menacing. You
Yeah.
know, like especially in the second one when like they do the flashbacks and like they have the different mask and stuff, like he seems smaller there. So I like how big he is and how he just fucks people up. Like he doesn't just kill people, he full blown fucks them up.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, like, is there any kills that stand out to you from the first one that you think are pretty good?
I think so. I mean, Halloween Kills definitely has the
Oh,
best
I've got
kills.
a million for that
I
one.
think my favorite kill from the first one, though, it's very simple, but I liked it, was when they were kind of redoing the tracking shot from the first one, where like he
Mm-hmm.
goes down the alleyway and the trick or treaters, and he just comes up behind that woman who's like looking
Mm-hmm.
out the window, and he doesn't just stab her, like he grabs her head, slams it into the bench, and then stabs her through the throat. I was just like, oh, like it's just violent,
Yes.
you know, like
I very much love it.
yeah. I mean, that's really all I have to kind of say on that. I will end with one last funny quote. It's just out of nowhere.
From the
It,
first one.
yeah, from the first one. Don't even. I Danny McBride had to have written it. Is when the daughter or the granddaughter, I guess, they're in the kitchen with their family early on. The dad is scooping up peanut butter. He's like, "Oh man, I got peanut butter on my penis." Like,
Yeah.
what?
I still didn't understand that either, and I was just like, "Did he though? Is it, like, on his pants he means? And why did he say
It's
penis?"
just out of nowhere. Like I was watching and I was taking a sip. I was taking a sip of my drink, and I was like, "What?"
It really just didn't fit. Yeah, you're like, "Wait a minute," and then they just never explain it. I feel like I'm not as big of a fan on Halloween as I am with Halloween Kills, and I feel like most people are the opposite,
Hmm.
but I'm not a huge Michael Myers, like, stan, like, I haven't been here for a long time. I enjoy the movies, but I really had only seen the first one
Hmm.
and maybe the second original, but they're not that dear to me, so I don't care. I have so much fun watching Halloween Kills that I'm like, I would just throw that on anytime because it's a good time.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% with you there. Like
I knew you would be.
the funny things that I like in the first one, I'll just YouTube those. Like I don't think I'll actually go back and watch this
No,
movie again. But yeah, let's
agreed.
jump over. Let's take a break and then dig into Halloween Kills because we got some fun stuff to talk about. All right, let's talk about the fun Halloween movie, Halloween Kills.
Evil dies tonight.
Allegedly,
It's just my favorite quote.
we have to say it at least half as many times as they say it in the actual movie.
I looked it up and will confirm they say it 29 times in
Oh
this
my
movie. They in case you haven't heard, guys, that's the fucking I'm pretty sure that's the tagline too. Evil dies tonight.
I definitely would have thought more. Like it feels like more.
Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight.
All right, evil dies tonight! Not evil dies tonight!
In comparison, Michael only kills 27 people. So they say it 2 more times, and Michael kills a shit ton of people in this movie.
He kills so many people. Like I think this movie should have just been titled Halloween Kills a Lot of People. It's not as sexy, but I think it's accurate.
I mean, I think they were like, "Let's not do a shit title, so we'll just shorten it to Halloween Kills." That's pretty good, you know?
Oh man, if only they had worked with the people that named 47 meters down. Just like you guys really screwed up with that. Anyways, yeah, it came out in 2021. It's the direct sequel to Halloween 2018. So I mean the plot of this, surviving victims of Michael Myers from 4 decades ago, they form a vigilante mob and vow to end his reign of terror after they discover that he is still alive. And boy, do they vow. So, my plot of this movie, it is different, but it really ties into with Evil Dies Tonight because my plot is evil does not die tonight, but it easily could have.
Easily could have. I agree with that point extremely. Yes, 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 yes.
We'll get to that.
Although it seems like evil really can't die is really that it's interesting that everyone's all about where he's gonna die tonight, but it's like I'm pretty sure if we've learned anything throughout this movie, it's that he can't die.
He's got some like I don't know, like Wolverine level regeneration going
I
on.
mean, shooting him does nothing. He gets like 3 bullets in him, and we'll get there. But what's interesting is that I think the reason that I love this movie personally is like what David Gordon Green, the director and co-writer with Danny McBride, they said that the heart of the movie is Michael. This is Michael's fucking Halloween movie, which if you think about it, they're always focused on the like innocent characters. This is like the first movie that's like, this is fucking Michael's movie. But the cool part about it is that they really play up the fact that like in the original movie, he's not credited as Michael Myers. The actor who
Mhm,
plays him is credited as the Shape. And that's
mhm,
what they went back to with like they say he's an essence of evil, expressionless, emotionless creature of killing. And that's what they don't want to like divulge into this psychology behind him of why is he the way that he is, what and try to give us any explanations. It's like they said they compared it to like with Jaws, where like they don't really show you the shark as much. It's like they don't want to get too much into what Michael Myers is and show you too much about him. It's more just like we know the basic things about him and that's enough. We don't need to know why he does what he does. There's literally no point to it. He's just a monster. And
Yeah.
thinking you could take him on is pretty fucking stupid.
And honestly, it's a breath of fresh air because
Yes.
so many villains now, like, they focus on how do we create a interesting villain. It's let's make the villain charismatic, like that, like that's just the go-to. We're gonna make a good villain, the best villain of all time, the Joker. It's like, no, the Joker is an incredible villain, but like, you can't just make every villain charismatic and then you're like, he's a good villain, we're good. Like, a more interesting backstory and actually stuff is interesting, or not doing it at all.
For horror, it's best not to know too much about the horror that's coming at you. I think it's scarier when you don't know everything. This movie was really just trying to be an aggressive fucking thing that was just the middle movie, keep your energy up, keep you enthralled, and that's what it does, in my opinion. I
Mm.
think they nailed it. A lot of the characters that are in this movie and that are featured more prominently, a lot of the people in the mob, they're all people from the first movie, or not from the first movie, but from Halloween 2018. They were just in the background or something or mentioned, whatever. And we get some great actors in there. Anthony Michael Hall, Robert Longstreet, who I always love from all of his Mike Flanagan work, especially Midnight Mass.
Shout out. Midnight Mass is so good.
Incredible. But yeah, a lot of good people in the crowd, but I was curious if you noticed that all of those people were like either in Halloween, the first one, or like from the original. Like a lot of those are characters from the original movie.
I did not notice that. The only way I knew that is they told me that in that whole bar scene. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you're like,
cool,
okay.
cool, you're all here. Good.
Yeah. And I will say the characters are I know that they're supposed to be stupid. So I think if you can just roll with the fact that those townspeople are just fucking morons, you're okay. Like I love the energy, but like they're stupid.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Michael Myers might be the smartest person in this movie, and that's saying something. But yeah, I think the hard part for people is that like the original Halloween is such an atmospheric like horror movie. I don't know if like this movie is really like a horror movie. Like it's not, for me personally, like I was not scared while I was watching this movie. I was having a great time. Like it's so entertaining. I mean, let's just talk about the kills.
Yeah, can we just talk about it? Because like that's part of the title, and it's like the whole thing with this movie. It has the most incredible kills that I've seen in a movie in a very long time.
Oh yeah, I mean the budget for this movie, it was twice the budget. It was 20 million, and it was all put into the kills.
Even in the first one, like, they, like, he curb stomps, like, the doctor in that one, and it's, like, pretty great, like, practical
Yeah.
effects, and I love that they didn't go, "Let's just do a ton of CGI now." It's like, no, they
Mhm.
really stuck to the practical effects. So, I've got kind of a basic list of, like, the nominations for best kills, if you wanna hear.
Okay.
And,
Lay them
like,
out.
if I missed any, please tell me. I think we gotta start with all the firefighters. The fact that he takes down a whole squadron of firefighters is just incredible and a great sequence.
I love how the firefighters, like, they spray the hose on him to try and stop him. One of them grabs like the grinding axe and just like tries to get him, and he just wipes him out.
I mean, it's so good.
It's a great way to kick the movie off. Well, one thing that I noticed that I thought was really cool, like added a level of intelligence to Michael Myers, is when the guy falls through the floor in the burning house. Michael Myers was in the gun rack and he closed the door like to protect himself from the flames. I'm like, oh, that's a nice little detail. It would have been really dumb if he fell through the floor and Michael Myers was just standing there.
Yeah.
So I like that they added that little detail
That's
of
what I'm saying. They make this Michael very clever. He's just a predator with like he's very single-minded. He's always just thinking, how do I escape this? How do I get out of here? How do I get back to what I want to do? How do I kill this person in the most fun way maybe? I don't know. After this movie I thought he definitely has fun with it. Another great one which is pretty quick after he escapes the fire or after he kills all the firefighters and he kills the neighbors. Did you think that how did you like that scene?
that scene was gnarly. Like, So the beginning of the movie, like he kills a bunch of people really early on, and it's not until that scene that he gets a kitchen knife. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, I started making a list. I'm like, this movie is going to be Michael Myers killing people with a bunch of things other than the kitchen knife. And then he gets the kitchen knife and that changes. But like he kills someone with the crowbar, with the giant saw. He kills the old man by pulling him through the window and then pulling his head down on the broken glass.
Gnarly. And that doesn't even kill, or he does kill him, yeah.
And then, oh, that poor woman.
Yeah, the fluorescent
The
light tube
fluorescent
was
light.
my other nomination.
Oof,
So good.
that was gnarly.
And then he brings the husband in and starts chopping him up. Not the usual Michael Myers MO. He's like fucking with the body there.
Well, it actually, to kind of go back to the intelligence that he has in this movie, the impression I got is he was testing out the knives. He was seeing which one felt good, like
I just thought
felt
he was
best
more
to him.
fucked up, but yeah, you're right. He's probably just doing that. The quote that I always think of when he says, yeah, there's a big fella in our bathroom and he's wearing a monster mask. And she says,
Oh, what the fuck does he want? Who gives a shit? Call the cops!
it's so good. That was like the smartest thing that anyone's ever said. And then he gets his head smashed against the wall.
Oh god. I will say one thing they did way better in this movie than they did in the last one is the characters that are introduced that like you're like, "Oh, they're going to die." I really liked them. Like they were really good. I really enjoyed them on screen. Like I didn't want them to die. Whereas in
Like
the
which ones?
well, like that couple, I thought they were a really like
Yeah.
cute old couple. And like they were funny together. Like the last one, either he killed someone that we never saw them say or do anything, or he killed the teens, which like I don't care. Like thank you for that. That's public service. But like yeah, these ones, like that couple, I I really liked them. And then also I think we're gonna have a whole conversation about Little and Big John. But like I loved them.
Okay, no, but let's like talk about them right now because I just love them
They're so
so
good.
much. They're my favorite characters in this entire movie. Like, bar anybody else, I think they're the best.
Is there anything in particular that like you really love about them? Because I have something, but I
I
want to
want to
ask.
hear why you love them too. I'm happy you do.
I mean, one I love it's Little John. I love him. He's a guest star in like every show, and he's just funny
And you would
and
expect him
everything.
to be Big John and the other guy to be Little John, and that's one other thing that I like about them.
But my favorite thing is like, so I think it's safe to assume that their names are not actually Little John and Big John.
Of course.
It's their nicknames, but they call each other Big John and Little John while they're terrified, like while they're being stalked.
Yeah.
The guy's like, Little John?
Little John?
Big John.
That would be like if me and Sarah were being hunted by a killer, me being scared and like, babe?
Yeah, that's what I would do.
No.
Are you kidding? Me and Nolan have such a problem with saying babe too much that like if it's, just me and him in the house and supposedly a killer, I know the killer's not gonna think I'm talking to him. So it's gotta be fucking I would call him his nickname too. Although I don't know if Nolan and I called each other big and little Nolan. I don't know how that works. So I don't know.
I just thought it was so funny.
It's adorable. And I also
Little
really
John.
love the weapons that like when Big John's like, I've got this knife. And he grabs like this tiny ass little cheese knife from the fucking charcuterie board. And then Little John goes, I've got this knife. And he actually grabs the butcher knife. So I'm proud of them. But like they both just die. We don't get to see Little John die, but we have to watch Big John die. And I'm like, God, I hate whenever people get their fucking eyes. Like it just seems so gross,
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Oh yeah, that was gnarly. Like
Yeah.
just pops him out of his head.
And then after that, I think the next one that is my number one. Big John's number two. My number one is the gunshot kick with the car door.
Oh, I thought you were gonna save this one.
No, this is my number one and that's in sequential order of the movie is what I'm going in.
I don't think there's any question. I think it is maybe the best kill of all time.
Of all time.
It's
It's
the
incredible.
it's the best self-elimination I've ever seen. It is unbelievable.
Michael's just, "Nah." Like, just gonna fucking kick the door, hope for the best. It's like a fucking accident. The way that it works so perfectly, I was like, "There's no way that that was a stunt. That really happened. That had to have been. There was
That
no way."
woman's dead.
Yeah.
It was
I
not a
was
blank.
it was too, like, there's no chance in hell that that would ever happen, but I love it. It was incredible. I thought that the stunt work on that was just amazing, and that's why it's my number 1. Is that your number 1 too?
It has to be number 1. I was gonna say, just for the sake of conversation, that it can't it's the best kill easily in the entire franchise, like
And in history of horror, I
in
think.
any franchise. But it we have to separate it because it's not a Michael Myers kill.
He kicks the door and she shoots herself. It counts.
That
It's a
it
count. That
it's
counts towards
incidental
his kill.
contact.
No, it is not. It is intentional contact, okay? If he had accidentally bumped into the door and then she shot herself, sure, incidental. But that was like a deliberate boom, ow, I just kicked my
Oh,
fucking desk trying to prove that to you.
I'm gonna make a clip, and it's just gonna be that on a loop with us laughing at it. It's
So good.
uh
I think my next one is gonna be the stairs and the railing kill with the boyfriend,
oh
who's the worst character of the granddaughter's boyfriend, and Michael just, like, stabs him a bunch, then he's like, "Oh, get away from her," stupid
yeah.
idiot shit, and which by the I mean, we'll get to it, but why do they split up when they get to the house? We're all going as a mob. Okay, you guys stay here. I'm going alone. Dumbasses. But either way, he takes on Michael alone, gets stabbed a bunch. Then he gets his head literally like basically he becomes like a post on the fucking railing by
Yeah, he
the end of
shoves
it.
his head through the banister
Yeah.
and then just starts throwing him around.
Yeah.
That
Up
this
and down and to the right and like piercing his throat. I mean, I can't believe he lives through all that. He should have been dead for a long time. And then when Michael starts coming down the stairs to take care of the granddaughter, he just fucking breaks the guy's neck because the guy is still alive. And I love that Michael's just
oh,
like, "Oh, you're not dead yet?" Boom. Like that is a brutal kill, but I fucking hated the boyfriend. So I
oh,
was
he
here
was
for
the
it.
worst. He was one of the things I hated most in the first movie. I hated that the movie started with him. Like I was ready for a fresh start, and then it
Yeah.
starts with him, and I'm like, oh God, no. And then then he finds the cop who there's no way he's
I
alive.
thought they ran over that guy's
Yeah,
head in the
he
first one.
stabbed him 3 times and then ran him over.
They
Like,
fucking ran his head over. There's no way that guy's alive. His head was splattered everywhere. It had to have been.
well, and see that just adds to the idea that the first one was the idea was to have a contained movie because that actor is really good.
Yeah.
He's one of the good parts of the movie, and so like they killed him, and they're like, oh, we don't need him to come back for a second. We're like, well, shit, we gotta bring him back.
It's like hilarious. Anyways, my
Oh,
final nomination, but I know we've already won this, and this will transition into our general talk of the mob. But I think when he kills all the people in the mob is pretty great too, because they all deserve it at that point. I think we can agree. Let's talk about the mob.
oh, the mob.
I hope that you want to, right? You have
Oh,
probably a lot to say.
I do. The only like notes I took that are like me being critical of the movie in any way is just like the mob is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like I get I get the point they were trying to make, but I think they accidentally made a different point. It's just like it's so absurd. Like it starts off very like small and believable, like, oh, they want to get revenge, so they get the other people that almost died and like they try
Mhm.
to do it. But by the time they get to the hospital, like they are swarming the hospital. Like I was like, am I watching Dawn of the Dead? Like these zombies are just like trying to break through doors and windows. And I'm like, there's like hundreds of you. What's going on? I don't know if I would say that like this is supposed to be like an intentional like horror comedy in the way that some of the other movies are, like Malignant or like Cabin in the Woods. Like I feel like those are very like intentional with what they're doing. I feel like this one was just like all of them just having a couple beers, like let's just have a good time, you know? Like it's like introducing Halloween to another generation. It's just like,
Exactly.
you know, we're not trying to be the horror classic. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like we're trying to be like the Fast and the Furious. Like you're just trying to have a good time with this movie.
I mean, they keep the energy up. I think that was the whole point, was just to have a very, like, exciting sequel, and like I said, it's Michael Myers's, like, it's the first movie focused on him. So there's a lot of fucking kills, as there should be. I feel like it fulfills everything they wanted in that way. If it hits with people for tone, I agree, but the first one's tone was pretty all over the place, so I think
Yeah.
after this one, I was just like, "Cool, this is all fun." Like, even the brutal kills, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Yeah, I think that's the part with the mob that I just didn't like. It seemed like it was trying to be something very, I don't know, maybe like thoughtful when this
Social
movie,
commentary.
yeah, when this movie just didn't really seem like it was doing that. But like also just like it just goes crazy, it just escalates, and like all the like the plot holes all really revolve around the mob. Like the
They
fact
really do.
the fact that like a large part of the mob's storyline revolves around them thinking that another person is Michael Myers, and they drive that guy to kill himself. I mean, the first problem is that that guy looks nothing
Yeah.
like Michael Myers. Like he is
He's like
he's
half his height too.
yeah,
It's like we
not the
all
same
know.
not the same size, not the same frame.
I think what
Like
they're trying to prove with that is that obviously he's not Michael Myers, but like you hear someone say, like someone says, "Is that Michael?" And then the next person just rolls off of that and goes, "That's Michael." And then everyone's like, "Oh, that's him." And then Anthony Michael Hall's like, "Let me at him." Like, I just gotta lead the mob now. So it's like it's just trying, I think, to show that like that shit can just like infect and like, but it's like it's a lot. They're really being stupid though.
really, I rewatched this part. A bunch of them know what Michael Myers looks like.
I know. I
They
wondered this too.
they show his mugshot on the news in the bar. They show both of their pictures. So they know
They just got
who these
distracted by
guys
one
are.
of the uglier one, I don't know.
It's like I'm just like, wait, someone, maybe even if the main guy like didn't see him until like he saw him, he's like, oh, that's not him. It was like someone knows what he looks like and could have said, that's not him. I've seen his picture.
But that's literally all that Judy Greer is doing, like, her character is literally running up the stairs going, "That's not him," and they're like, "I don't care, let me at him." Come on, that's just
What
a little bit much. Alright, we get it.
Judy Greer, that's she plays Karen, right? The
Yes,
daughter.
the daughter of Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah.
So that
Love
leads
her.
to one other part that I thought was kind of odd. After the whole murder by or suicide by mob
Yeah, the
scene,
mental patient jumps to his death.
yeah, Karen has like she like really has this like this guilt that she lays on to the other people, like we did this, we did this, and then like the next scene she leads Michael to the mob. And it's like, okay, so you really just like came around to this whole mob idea pretty easy. Like
So, like, at least she directs them to Michael, and they have a decent plan, right? Which is the only reason that like anyone can ever get away from Michael is if you mess with his mask or you take his mask,
mhm.
right? And that's how she saves her daughter after the boyfriend's been turned into like a fucking post on the stairs.
didn't get it! You wanna fucking kill someone? Take me!
Like she takes Michael's mask after she stabs him like out of surprise
Yeah.
with a pitchfork. I love that. And then
Yeah.
steps on his head, but that's it. We're not going to cut his head off or do anything else. And then she just takes the mask and like runs away with it. And he follows her back a couple streets down, and the mob's there, and they're all coming out of the shadows like they've been talking about the whole movie.
That that pitchfork scene, that's the first time in the movie that evil could have died that night. but
and it could have died a
but
few
they
more
didn't.
times.
It's like he can survive anything. We don't know about shots to the head.
I mean, that's the thing when they say like, yeah, Michael Myers can't be defeated. I'm like, have we tried cutting his head off and all of his limbs and burying them separately? Or like lighting them all
Oh.
on fire, burning them separately, and then burying them or throwing them into different oceans. I mean, have we tried everything? I don't think we've tried separating his body parts. I mean, he might live forever, but he's scattered. He can't do anything.
The more he kills, the more he transcends into something else impossible to defeat.
Maybe the third movie will answer that question.
I mean, I'm still excited for it, but I want to talk about this part where the mob mentality all ends up with them trying to kill Michael.
Wait, I have one question that
Oh.
I don't know if you can answer, but it revolves around the mob. So we just talked about how at the hospital it's like Dawn of the Dead. There's like hundreds of people trying to tear down this hospital.
Yeah.
The final scene, the final fight, the Michael Myers gang, there's like 15 of them. Like, where did the other 185 people go? Like, there's
It's
like
too far. It's not at the hospital that I'm already at. I'm not going.
it's like, man, that was good. I need to get some aggression out. What were we crazy about?
Maybe they were like, realistically, that guy was pretty easy compared to the real Michael. I don't think
Yeah.
if he's twice that size, I don't think I could take him. I'm gonna stay home.
But it's like it's the same number of people that the mob starts with, like right outside the bar.
Yeah.
So it's like, why didn't we just keep that there? Like, it escalates to this huge thing, and it's like, all right, back to normal. Like,
I know. That's a
anyway.
great point. And then and then all those people, instead of bringing like decking themselves out like with guns and weapons of any kind,
They had like wiffle ball bats.
they have very strange choices. My number one thing that really caught my attention one time as to what everyone's holding, and this was on a rewatch, was that there's a fucking lady holding just an iron. Like a fucking like iron for like ironing a shirt. And it's not
What?
hot. It's just an iron.
I did not see that.
You got to go back. That's some interesting
Oh
one.
my god!
Someone who attacks Michael first, and for a while, they're literally just holding a 2x4. That's all it is. It's not a sharp 2x4. It's not anything. It's just a 2x4. And somebody else has a wrench. Just a wrench. It's like pretty small. It gets bigger. As we've mentioned before, Anthony Michael Hall has the baseball bat. He says earlier, I'm going to go down swinging. And you
Yeah.
never say, and again, now you're going to die because that's going to happen. Someone else has a hockey stick. Only one gun, and it's the cop. And he uses it to shoot him in the chest, which we all know you don't do. From Scream 3, I think I'll always remember when they're saying, Dewey, he like literally shoots the killer like 8 times and they're like, shoot him in the head. And he's like, oh yeah. And then it's like, done, they're dead. That's it. So all I'm saying is that there's one gun, and these are all the other choices. Someone at least has a tire iron, but a baseball bat, tire iron, and a gun are the best choices. The rest of them are pretty varied.
It's insane that all of these people are survivors of Michael Myers. So this guy has rocked this town with a kitchen knife, and none of them are like, you know what? Maybe he's onto something.
No, they're like, I'm gonna grab
Like,
my iron.
I'm gonna grab a 2x4.
Yeah, 2x4.
You want me to bring an extension cord? We can plug it in, steam him. Like, what do you do? What is
The weapons here suggest that this wasn't a mob with the like that was assembled hours ago with the intention of killing him. This sounds like, oh, I was just at home and someone called me and I grabbed whatever I had on my way out the door. Like that is what this vibe is. But these people have been like fucking a mob for hours. They've had plenty of time between now and then to go get a fucking weapon or resupply. Literally, don't we see the boyfriend's dad have like all these guns in the fucking car? He literally has a whole car of guns and nobody grabs them. And anyone who does have a gun says, I'll go in by myself and take him one-on-one. It's like, are you guys like, they're all just so dumb, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's baffling that there's only one gun. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter if you're in a town that's like, oh, this is gun country, or you're like, oh, this is not gun country. There's guns there. It's either a large amount or a small amount. There's not anything that there's zero. Like,
And if I'm taking on fucking Michael Myers, I'm definitely not grabbing a 2x4. I want an axe at the very minimum so I can chop off all of his limbs. I don't know why people keep stabbing him in the back and going, that must have done it. Like he's dead. I stabbed him with the rake earlier and he was fine.
it's the
Like a
most
pitchfork.
it's the most effective weapon.
How many times can we not cut his head off and then realize, hey, maybe we should cut his fucking head off? Like, that's the thing is like, I love slasher movies, but when they don't do that nowadays, I'm like, you have no excuse. I've seen 100 of these movies. It doesn't work unless you fucking dismember them.
Also, there's the police officer with the gun. I mean,
Yes.
first off, the main guy definitely would have been arrested way earlier for inciting a riot. Like,
There's just no way.
but even pushing that aside, cops have their main firearm, but they also always have a shotgun in the cop car. So why are you going at him with a pistol? Grab a shotgun,
I know.
way less work.
I know. But that's the thing is that, like, the
Oh,
townspeople are just so dumb. It's like if they could have been smart and been a mob and, like, not as much of a mob, but more of just, like, a smart, like, little group of people who want revenge, perfect. I'm here for that. The townspeople all coming together in a mob to kill Michael, wonderful. If they all show up with knives and guns, I'm here for this. But whoever's bringing an iron to this fight does not belong here. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I respect the innovation. Now that I know that there's an iron in there, now I'm just wishing that there was a slow-mo scene, because the whole scene is in slow-mo, of the person with the iron swinging it by the cord.
No,
Like
that's the best part. It's a cordless one. There's no cord. So I don't they ripped the cord out? I don't know. Did they not want it to get hot? I thought it needed to be hot to be a weapon. Like this like woman has it. And I'm just like, I
oh,
feel like that's sexist too, that she would just, oh, I have an iron because I was ironing clothes. Like,
I'm a dumb woman. This is all I know.
yeah, this is all I got.
Oh man, that's the best note to end on.
I mean, as much as like I have quibbles with like the decisions in this movie and the logistics, I don't really care about any
Oh,
of them at the end of the day.
it's great. Yeah, you're not watching this movie to have a rush of emotions. Like you're watching this because you just want to have a good time with it.
Yeah,
And now the question is, with the third one coming out, what tone are they going to go with? Are they going to keep this insanity going?
I hope so.
Because the next one, I mean, people are going to be real pissed if they continue to market these movies with Jamie Lee Curtis at like she's in the entire movie, and then they only use her for like half the movie, maybe.
I mean, people should just start expecting that by now. Come on, she's not going to be in the whole thing. They got to fill that out with some padding.
They're setting the whole thing up as the final confrontation.
I
So I
know.
mean,
They do that every time. Every time with a movie, they should never name a movie ends, the final chapter, whatever, because then you guys just look like assholes when we reboot it 3 years later.
all right. Well, since we're gonna do an episode on this final movie, let's maybe make some predictions or list out some things that we hope that they do. So I'll go first. I hope that they continue down this road of insanity. Just get wild with it. And I hope that it's a combination of Jamie Lee Curtis's like survivor jigsaw house in the first one. I hope she makes some crazy traps, and then Mike Myers just going crazy with the kills.
Michael, if Mike Myers shows up, that would make no sense story wise.
I hope that would be a great twist. He has a little cameo.
I mean, he should. I wonder how Michael would respond. But yes, I like that prediction. I think this will be a really good one. And if it's more towards the first one, we're trying to be serious and end it, whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
I hope it has a similar tone to Halloween Kills because that was pure fun. That's what I'm
Mhm.
watching these movies for, and I would enjoy it. So I'm hopeful, but we'll see.
And I think that Jamie Lee Curtis and Officer Hawkins,
Sex scene next movie at the beginning in the hospital.
that's an Oscar winner right there.
Where are we going with that?
I think they're both going to die.
Ooh, yeah, she's got to.
Yeah, like Jamie Lee Curtis has been in 8 of these now. So
Yeah,
like
she's broken the record, but they've killed her like twice, I'm pretty sure.
another requel.
That's what I'm saying. At this point, just stop killing her because it's going to be stupid when you bring her back again. Stop saying Halloween ends. It's going to keep going.
I don't know. I think she's ready to call it in. But I think
Again.
I think they're both going to die, and I think the real question is, are they actually going to kill Michael Myers?
No, of course not. Are you kidding? They would never in any of these. And if they do, they'll bring him back again. These guys are never going to die.
And he's 60 right now, so pretty soon he's going to he can access his retirement account so he can fund all of his shenanigans.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know,
the guy
so-
from the Don't Breathe movies, he's still going. They could team up in the next one. I don't know. We'll get Halloween versus Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe. It's Halloween. I don't know.
Michael Myers just killing into his 80s, just slaying.
They're just gonna reboot it again. I mean, honestly, with all the supposed like rumors and tweets we've been seeing, I think we're close to getting another Friday the 13th reboot, which would be exciting.
Reboot or requel?
I would like a requel, and I'd actually love a sequel just to the remake from 2009. It's actually really good.
Who's going to come first, Freddy or Jason? Who's getting a requel first?
Jason. Freddy, we'll see. I think it's going to be harder to figure out how to keep that thing going without Robert Englund. So, but in the meantime, thank God for fucking Michael Myers.
Hey, Michael, it's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare.